man spent 10 years telling everyone the same story about himself. He was the smart one, who just hadn't found the right opportunity yet. Whenever someone else succeeded, he had an explanation ready, better connections, an earlier start, luck. Whenever he failed, he had one too, and it usually arrived before anyone even asked. The market was bad, the timing was off, he wasn't really interested anyway, and whenever someone told him he was capable of more, he'd smile and say he already knew. Then one evening, someone asked him a question simple enough to ruin the whole story. If you knew you were capable of more, why have you spent 10 years proving that you aren't? He laughed. Then he went quiet, because underneath all the explanations was a possibility he'd spent years avoiding. Maybe he wasn't afraid of failing. Maybe he was afraid of running out of excuses. That's a much harder thing to sit with, because sometimes the identity you defend most fiercely is the one you actually want to escape. You probably think you know why you behave the way you do. You're cautious because you're realistic. You're quiet because you don't need the attention. You're a perfectionist because you care about quality. You're independent because you don't trust people. Every explanation sounds reasonable, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous. The mind rarely builds a prison that looks like a prison. It builds one that looks like your personality. After enough years, you stop asking whether the walls are still needed. You start defending them. The psychologist Alfred Adler had an interesting way of looking at this. He thought people could be shaped by a persistent sense of inferiority, a feeling of being behind, inadequate, or incapable of measuring up, and that this feeling doesn't always produce giving up. Sometimes it produces the opposite. People become exceptionally successful, exceptionally independent, exceptionally impressive, precisely to keep that feeling at bay. Other times, the same discomfort shows up as controlling behavior, defensiveness, or an obsession with appearing unaffected. Different behaviors, same problem underneath. I cannot allow myself to feel small. That idea gets more interesting once you stop equating inferiority with low self-esteem. Someone can look completely confident while quietly organizing their whole life around avoiding that feeling. The person who needs to be the smartest one in the room may be terrified of looking foolish. The person who never asks for help may be terrified of needing anyone. The person who keeps insisting they don't care may care so much that indifference became armor. And the person who talks endlessly about their potential may be using the word as a substitute for actually testing it, because potential can't fail. It stays perfect forever, right up until the moment you act, and reality shows up. Then you might find out you're talented, or average, or bad at first, or that the dream you've protected for years was never really yours. Sometimes the fantasy of who you could become is just safer than becoming anyone at all. The psychologists Hazel Markus and Paula Nurius wrote about something they called possible selves, the versions of ourselves we imagine we could become, want to become, or dread becoming. You don't just carry a memory of who you were, you carry a private cast of characters, the successful version, the respected version, the one who finally proves everyone wrong, and also the one you're terrified of turning into, the failure, the person who wasted their shot, the one who stayed too long. Your behavior can quietly turn into a negotiation between those imagined selves, and that's where things get confusing. You think you're chasing success, but sometimes you're running from the possibility of being ordinary. You think you're chasing independence, but sometimes you're running from the humiliation of needing someone. You think you're building discipline, but sometimes you're trying to become worthy of your own respect. Self-improvement and self-escape can look identical from the outside, but one produces growth, and the other produces an endless war with your own identity. That's why some people get the thing they wanted for years and feel almost nothing when it arrives. The goal was never really the goal. The goal was what achieving it would supposedly prove. I'm intelligent. I'm desirable. I matter. I wasn't a failure. I finally became someone. The relief from hitting a milestone fades fast, so another one shows up. Another promotion, another relationship, another number, another audience, another reason to believe the next version of your life will finally settle the argument in your head. It never does, because achievements can change your circumstances without answering the question underneath them. Am I enough if I have nothing left to prove? That question scares people, because if you stop trying to prove something, you have to figure out what you actually want, and desire gets surprisingly hard to locate when nobody's watching. Imagine waking up tomorrow and nobody can judge your choices. Your family doesn't know. Your friends don't know. No one will be impressed or disappointed. What would you still want? That question can expose an uncomfortable amount of your life, because some ambitions are genuine and others are performances, so convincing you forgot there was an audience. Maybe you chose a career because it made you feel respectable. Maybe you chase money because you associate it with being untouchable. Maybe you want a certain body because you believe admiration will fix something inside you. And maybe the strangest possibility is that you've spent years working hard toward a life designed to impress a version of yourself you don't even like anymore. This is where people get stuck. It's not just that they have goals, it's that they have identities attached to those goals. I am the ambitious one, the strong one, the one who always has it together, the one who never needs anyone. Once an identity matters enough, changing your behavior can feel like betrayal. You can know something is hurting you and still defend it, because admitting the truth would mean rewriting your self-image, and people are surprisingly protective of continuity. We want today's version of ourselves to feel connected to yesterday's, so when a past decision becomes embarrassing, the mind has an escape hatch. Instead of, I was wrong, it says, I had no choice. Instead of, I was afraid, it says, I was being careful. Instead of, I wanted approval, it says, I was being respectful. Sometimes those explanations are accurate. The trouble starts when they become impossible to question, when your identity turns into a lawyer that cross-examines every piece of contrary evidence and reinterprets every failure until it fits the person you already believe yourself to be. That's how you end up fiercely loyal to a version of yourself that's making you miserable, and it's why change can feel threatening even when you want it badly. Say you've spent years telling yourself, I'm just an anxious person, and then one day you act differently. You speak up. You take the opportunity. You make a decision without polling 10 people first. For a moment, something in you gets uncomfortable because you've just created evidence against your own identity, and the mind may try to pull things back into order. You were just lucky. This isn't really you. Don't get ahead of yourself. That voice can sound like humility. Often, it's just identity trying to preserve itself. Here's where it gets darker. You can become genuinely attached to being the person you complain about, the one who's always overlooked, always misunderstood, always unlucky, always almost successful, always waiting. A painful identity still offers something valuable, which is predictability. If you already know who you are, you already know what to expect from your life, and freedom is more demanding than that, because freedom means choosing, and choosing means owning the outcome. If you're unlucky, there's nothing to do. If you're incapable, there's nothing to attempt. If you're just like this, there's nothing to change. An identity can be a perfect hiding place because it turns a decision into a destiny. That's why one of the most dangerous sentences you can say about yourself is, that's just who I am. Maybe it is, or maybe it's who you became after repeating the same adaptation for so long you forgot it was ever a strategy. The quiet person may have learned early that speaking up invites embarrassment. The hyper-independent person may have learned that needing people leads to disappointment. The perfectionist may have learned that mistakes attract humiliation. Eventually, the strategy hardens into personality, so it's worth getting suspicious of yourself, especially when a behavior feels automatic. The question isn't what a behavior accomplishes, it's what it protects you from. Procrastination might be protecting you from finding out whether you're actually capable. Perfectionism might be protecting you from being judged while you're still learning. Emotional distance might be protecting you from rejection. Even the obsession with becoming your best self can be a way of avoiding the ordinary, unfinished person you already are, and that one is especially uncomfortable because self-improvement can quietly turn into another form of self-rejection. You can spend years trying to become someone worth loving while treating your current self like an embarrassing rough draft, and there's no finish line for that. There's always another flaw, another person further ahead, another version of you that looks better from a distance. So the question has to change. Instead of, how do I become someone impressive? Try, who am I when I stop trying to escape the feeling that I'm inadequate? That question can lead somewhere different. Ambition without desperation, confidence without superiority, connection without dependence. The biggest shift is that you stop needing your future to rescue your present. You can still want more, still build something worthwhile, still get stronger or sharper or more capable. The difference is, your life stops being a courtroom where every achievement has to prove you deserve to exist. You're just building. That's a different game entirely. So think about one sentence you use to describe yourself over and over. I'm shy. I'm unlucky. I'm difficult. I'm lazy. I'm too emotional. I'm just not that kind of person. Now ask something harder. When did you first learn this about yourself? And then the question that can actually change something. Who would you have to become if it stopped being true? Maybe the identity you're protecting isn't your deepest self. Maybe it's just the oldest explanation you have for your own behavior, and it feels like truth only because you've repeated it for so long. You don't need to tear your identity down. You need to get curious about it. Notice where your personality feels strangely rigid, where a reaction seems bigger than the situation calls for, where you desperately want something and haven't asked what getting it would actually prove. Notice what you keep avoiding, and ask what facing it would force you to admit. That's where the real work starts, because the hardest person to escape usually isn't the one who hurt you, or your parents, or your old friends. It's the version of yourself you built to survive all of them. And maybe the twist is that you don't need to become a completely different person. You just need to stop spending your life proving the old version of you was right. You may have spent years asking, what's wrong with me? Try a different question tonight. What am I protecting? The answer might explain more about your life than your personality ever did. If this made you question a part of yourself you usually avoid, like the video and share it with someone who might recognize themselves in it. And subscribe to Psyscholar, because we don't just study human behavior here, we study the uncomfortable reasons behind it.